What's up, guys? I hope you all enjoyed watching the 2016 draft. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Oakland Raiders and who we selected, how we lined up, how we fared in the NFL draft. It's Monday. It is May 3rd. Draft concluded on just this Saturday, and after watching, player interviews, Jack Del Rio's interview with Reggie McKenzie, the pressers. I believe I'm here to contribute a little bit to the discussion about where our team is at this point, um, the needs that we addressed, what we still need to address in the draft, um, and moving forward, what our team is going to look like in 2016. So I'm about to go through every single pick that we selected on Thursday through Saturday, giving my thoughts a little bit about how they can benefit our team and the motivation why we selected these players. So just kicking right off, at number 14, we selected Carl Joseph, the defensive back from West Virginia. Um, I've heard a lot of people say that he's undersized, that he is too, just doesn't have the physicality portion of what it takes to be a defensive back in this league. I couldn't disagree more. I mean, you look at his highlights, you look at what he's done at West Virginia, always around the ball, delivers hard hits after hard hits. He's always around the ball. Um, he, he can really move his feet. He's got very quick feet. He's able to line up in the slot on defenders, on receivers, and he really has incredible range. He sniffs out the ball. He calculates where he's going to be on the field, and he is seemingly always in the play. I really think that he, along with some of our younger talent out there on the back end, is going to provide some great competition for the guys that we already have, and also for Carl. To fight for those roster spots and deliver us a formidable secondary. I'll be frank with you. The secondary, in my opinion, is our biggest weakness at this point as a team. Obviously we have Woodson retiring. We have a questionable, if most bluntly, by saying it like that. I mean, DJ Hayden is a big question mark. I I still have not really formed an opinion on DJ Hayden. I'm willing to give him one more year to prove himself, but this pick will most likely increase that competition and let him know that, hey, we're not messing around anymore. You need to step up your game, or you're gonna be on the way out. Also, Reggie Nelson is he's gonna be gone in a year or two at most. So, just really like this pick. This was probably the pick that we selected most direly out of just need. The rest of the picks were really used to add a lot of depth, and I'll touch on that later as I go into the other picks that we selected. But Carl Joseph was a need pick for us. I mean, he's very talented. I believe he will be very beneficial to us. It really reminds me of Ken Norton's time in Seattle picking Earl Thomas. He's a very similar player to Earl Thomas just based on his credentials. Very similarly sized, very similar game, hard hitting, power coming from an undersized player, and just all around the ball. That central point of that defense is in the secondary, and I believe Carl Joseph can be that guy for us. We'll see how he develops in training camp, but I'm really excited about our 14th and our first round pick this NFL draft. So then on day 2 of the draft, we selected 2 defensive ends, and I'll go into each of them in detail here. With the 44th pick, we selected Jihad Ward out of Illinois. Now, I loved Jihad Ward. He was one of my favorite defensive prospects in the draft. In terms of the second round, the fact that we might be able to get him in the second round. People are just so high on this kid for his potential and his upside. He has basically limitless upside. He's very raw at the position. He's only been playing for a couple years. But the thing about him is that he can play a 3 technique and a 5 technique on that defensive line. And that versatility for us is critical moving forward. We really wanted to bolster our front seven in this draft, and Jihad is a player that we can use in either one of those 3 or the 5 technique to keep our other defensive ends fresh, and just provide that bullish pass rush that we are trying to achieve on the defensive side of the ball. One thing I love about Jihad is his story that he's coming from. Just a very remarkable story of persistence and dedication for him to be where he is in the NFL. And if you are not familiar with his story, I recommend that you look up his background, because it is a very inspiring young man that we drafted out of Illinois, and it just confirms the fact he will be a great teammate and a great guy to have in the locker room for the Raiders moving forward as we develop into a contending team. Our next pick was Shalik Calhoun. We picked him number 75 out of Michigan State in the 3rd round. One of the things that Jack really said a lot in his press conference was the need for versatility among the players that we chose. Both Ward and Calhoun have the ability to play various different positions, really, on that defensive front. Specifically for Shalik, he can play that edge rusher or that outside linebacker position. And I really believe that our motivation for selecting this pick was just to add as much depth at that outside linebacker defensive end position. We are in a position now on defense where, specifically with our front seven, where we have remarkable talent. We have a remarkable run defense. We have the potential to be a great front seven in the NFL on defense. And it's slightly strange to be in a position of building depth rather than, hey, we need the best superstar in the NFL and the NFL draft to address some of these dire needs that we have. But Calhoun really is a physical player. He's a big defensive end. He is very raw. Like I said, I think we'll coach him up in training camp and in the preseason, and I think he'll be ready to go. If not, just developing this depth of our roster, specifically on defense, is something that Raider fans have been waiting for. I mean, this is a process. This is the stage in the process where we're at now, where we have a pretty good team, but we just need that extra personnel to push us over the top. And I believe these 2 picks that we made in the second day of the draft really just are very directed towards that mindset of being future oriented. But hey, these guys can play now if we need them to. If somebody goes down on defense, injuries are a huge part of the NFL now. We've seen that in the last couple years. That one of these young guys can step in and we won't miss a beat on defense. So I was excited to see that we had that defensive, future-oriented focus on day 2 of the NFL draft. Moving forward into day 3, we made a splash, trading up actually for the 100th pick in the NFL draft, trading with the Cleveland Browns. And what surprised a lot of people about this pick was, who we actually chose. A lot of people were very surprised just at the fact that Reggie did trade up. If you're familiar with the Raiders' past drafts, that's something we never do. But Reggie was sold on Connor Cook, which is the player that we selected, the quarterback out of Michigan State. Reggie had said that the motivation for this move and for the Connor Cook pick was that he was just too talented for the Raiders to pass on. They had a good grade on him through our scouting team, and wanted to take the chance on this guy. A lot of backlash from the nation when this pick was made. Obviously, probably what most people thought of as well as I did is, Derek Carr. we got an incredible young quarterback who is probably in the top five quarterbacks under 25 at this stage. Why would we, expend draft picks and our pick in the fourth round on this quarterback? And Reggie's response was that he's looking towards the future. You can't ever have enough depth at that quarterback position. Um, you know, if you're familiar with Reggie's time in Green Bay, you know that he really loved to stock up on quarterbacks. We saw it early last year when Derek Carr was injured temporarily. Matt McGloin stepped in and did a pretty good job, but you know, it's becoming ever clear in the NFL. You can't just have one player at each position. You have to have multiple guys that if somebody goes down, the next guy can step up and you won't lose a beat. And Connor is someone that can step in if something happens to Derek Carr, that he can step up and be effective for us. He'll be in a tight quarterback competition probably for that second spot in training camp and in the pre-workouts. But I really like the Connor Cook pick. I think he's a high profile. He's a winner. He's a winning quarterback. I think he was 35-4 or something at Michigan State. Just a proven winning quarterback. There are concerns about his leadership and his teamwork, team mindset. But I really think that by him sitting behind Carr, who's probably one of the best teammates you can have right now in the NFL, I sincerely believe that Derek Carr is one of the best teammates in the NFL right now. Sitting behind him will really mature Connor into a player that we can use down the line if need be. The one last thing I'll say about the Connor Cook pick, people said, I'm thinking back to 2012 or 2013, whatever draft it was, where the Washington Redskins selected RG3 with that second overall pick, and then selected Kirk Cousins in the draft, in that same draft in the later rounds. You just never know. You never know. Carr, I am a complete Carr supporter. I will defend Carr until we go 0-16 one year. If he leads us to an 0-16 season, only then will I probably be like, okay, Carr isn't the guy. But I think everyone knows that Carr is the guy for us. But like I said, it was a pick that was probably made just based on talent, and the best player available at that time was Connor Cook, and we jumped at it. People are comparing him to McCarron and Kirk Cousins. These guys, might have a future in the NFL, and in the fourth round, you take your chances on a guy like that has been a proven winner and could benefit your football team. Later actually on that day in round 5, we went with DeAndre Washington. This was pick number 143 in the NFL draft. Lots of people, and myself included, thought we should have taken a running back before Connor Cook, and that really is my main distress with the Cook pick, is not Cook himself, but just the fact that we could have really used a running back or even a cornerback or another defensive player. I would have really preferred us to go that direction than to choose a quarterback, given that we have McGloin and Carr. But I really wanted to say about DeAndre Washington that I'm happy with the running back we got. I really think that he will be a very beneficial player to complement Latavius Murray in our backfield. Similar situation to our defensive players that we chose. Latavius is the guy for us. He is a bruising running back. He's going to get probably most of the workload this season. He's got huge potential he could possibly break out as a star in this league. But like I said, we really need that third down runner. We need that complementary back to be there to lighten the load on Latavius. And this DeAndre Washington out of Texas Tech is really the perfect guy to complement Latavius Murray. Latavius, who makes his name through the tackles and really just punches people in the face when he runs the ball. DeAndre is more of a speed back. He's more of an agile, elusive, open space runner. And I believe that combination, when you have that bruiser and then that quickster in the backfield, really throws defenses off. And I'm really excited for DeAndre to see how he, where he takes his opportunity, because I really believe he could win out that spot on our roster. I'm not very impressed with Taiwan Jones. Other than that, we really haven't had much of a backfield in the last couple years, other than like Olawale. But halfbacks are essential in this league. You need at least two or three to have any chance of being effective on the ground. So I really liked DeAndre Washington in the fifth round, even though I thought we might have been able to get a better running back in round four. I'm happy with the guy we got. I really stand by the pick, and I'm excited to see how he develops for us. The last two rounds, we selected Corey James, who is a linebacker out of Colorado State, and then Vidal Alexander, who was a offensive guard from LSU. These were two players that, I think can be pretty good in our system. I don't know too much about these guys because they were, just being the last two picks and just some draft fatigue probably kicked in for me, as I'm sure it does for a lot of NFL fans who actually sit and watch the draft. But in the case of Corey James, similar to, our defensive end picks of Ward and Calhoun, just another guy you can throw in there in the system. We actually have. I feel really good about our linebackers because you look at who we brought in: Bruce Irvin, Malcolm Smith is going to be coming back this year. Ben Heaney has stepped up huge for us at the end of last season. So those are three guys right there that can dominate that linebacker position. And this Corey James, who knows? He could maybe learn a thing or two from these guys, step into that system and have a huge impact for us. It's all going to be about rotations on defense. Guys are going to be coming in and out for us. And, you need to stay fresh. And Corey James has that speed. He's a disruptor. He can rush the quarterback. We want guys that can stay back in coverage, and I really look at Heaney as a guy that can really do that for us effectively. And I think Bruce Irvin will do that as well for us. I don't believe that Malcolm Smith or Neron Ball can guard for their lives. So those guys can't defend the pass. We needed a guy like Corey James to be able to rush the quarterback and do both, such as Ben Heaney and Bruce Irvin. I think these guys will be beneficial to have on that front. And then Vidal Alexander, the guard from LSU. Just a really big guy, a really big, strong guy that can push you back, push a defensive lineman back. And I think this was the one pick probably that Derek Carr, DeAndre Washington too, but this was probably the pick that Derek Carr was like, okay, guys, now you're looking out for me. And probably Cooper and, Crabtree were probably thinking, okay, here we go. We're going to have a little bit of a stronger passing game now. Because our passing game was very strong last year, and that is why I believe that we didn't really address the passing game much this draft. And it's a very odd position for Raiders fans to find themselves in because our offense has been abysmal for the last 10 years. And we're finally in a position where we're going to be putting up points a lot. We just need to play better defense. And we addressed those needs, and we grew as a team. But more about Alexander, he's a pancake guy, guy that can just basically literally throw you on the ground. And he has that knockback power, and he's strong. And the other thing I love about Alexander is the fact that he's a 4-year SEC lineman, which means he's just coming in more toned. He's just coming in more professional. He's coming in having that right work ethic. And, guys like that in the locker room, man, that are eager to learn, that have been around for 4 years in college, those guys are the professionals that you build your team around. So, yeah, I really enjoyed watching this year's draft for the Raiders. I'm very happy with where we are as a team, as an organization. I believe Reggie McKenzie has done wonders for us in these last three drafts. Coming from where we were just 3 years ago to where we are now is absolutely amazing to watch as a fan. To watch this team develop into a playoff contender, a division contender, has been extremely satisfying for me. And the ceiling on this team is, I mean, who knows? People are saying that we could win the Super Bowl this season, but realistically, that's on the table. But Jack and Reggie, they know that it takes the work during the off season, during the preseason, during the training camps, whatever, that it's you're not going to get there all in one night. We've been in this process, we've had this regime now. This is our second year under this specific regime with Jack and Reggie, and we've seen signs of improvement, and that's really all you're looking for. This season, I am really looking for us to emerge as a legitimate division contender, and a contender in the AFC West, and in the AFC. So I really believe these picks are coming into a great system here in Oakland. I loved seeing Carl Joseph when he was drafted. I believe he tweeted or he posted on Instagram a video of him in his hometown of Haiti, I believe it is. He jumped in. He put on the Raiders ball cap and he jumped in a hot tub, backflipped in, saying, "Hey, I'm really excited to be an Oakland Raider. Excited to put in my work for you guys. Thank you for spending your first round draft pick on me. I'm excited to get to work." And that just makes me so happy to see, because we've been suffering a long time in Oakland. That's a fact that we've had some difficult times. To see a guy like that legitimately excited to come here. We've seen it with Bruce Irvin. These guys are excited to be a part of what we're building here, and I'll be excited to see in training camp, and I'm going to probably come back at you guys, make another video when we hit up the preseason, when we start going on this team, once you have a better idea of what's going on, where this team is and where we can go, because I really believe that Jack Del Rio is bringing the Raiders back to excellence, and we've seen it. We've seen signs. I remember watching games last year, and I was like, wow, we scored again. We were supposed to be out of this game, but no, we competed. We put our nose to the grindstone, and we're punching people back. And we're going to be tougher next year. And so with that, I want to get your thoughts on the Raiders draft. What did you think about the overall NFL draft? Who did your favorite team? What pick are you most excited about from your team? Were you surprised by anything in the NFL draft? Were you excited about a player that you think is going to just be a superstar in the NFL? We'll see. I mean, that's the thing with these drafts. You never know what's going to happen. It's very hard to analyze a draft, as I'm doing now, just 2 days since the draft concluded, because it all looks great on paper, but when it comes time to work, who's going to step up? And that's something that we never know. And I believe most analysts have claimed that we did a pretty good job for the Raiders in this draft. They gave us about a B plus rating, and we'll see where it goes from there. That's all I got for you guys. All I'm going to say is go Raiders. Hope you enjoyed the draft, and I will be back probably making another video for you guys in the next couple days. Peace out.